guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to be doing an out-of-the-box demo of the Prince Urban Decay makeup palettes. My sister was kind enough to be my model for the first palette called Let's Go Crazy. Unfortunately, a lot of people were not happy about this because this is not something Prince would have done or approved of. I do agree that he wouldn't have ever done this, but as a huge Prince fan, I really wanted to get it. But at its original price of $55 per palette, I decided against it. I just felt like for only 10 eyeshadows, that was pretty pricey. And because so many fans were against it, I knew that they would probably discount the prices later. And I was right. I got the palettes 50% off. My one regret is not getting the setting powder because everyone seemed to really like it. So that is what the palette looks like, and same for the eyeshadows. I really like the colors in this palette. If I would have bought this at full price, I probably would have purchased this palette over the other one. I watched other reviews and everyone seemed to be sticking with purple and blue, so I wanted to make sure I did something different for you guys. So this first color that I just dipped into and I'm using as a transition shade is called Alphabet Street. I'm only going to be using two brushes throughout this, a blending brush and a packing brush. I don't have any brush numbers for you because these are not fancy brushes by any means. This next shade is called Raspberry Blu-Ray. I'm sorry, I had to. And this next shade is called DMSR. I know I'm doing this backwards because usually everybody starts from the outer corner of the eye in, but I just kind of wanted to try this out to see if it would turn out the same way as when I do that. So this is just kind of a test. And this final shade that I'm using for the base of her eye is Baby I'm a Star. I'm also trying out this TikTok hack. It's usually just with one brush stroke, but I'm just kind of patting the colors in each section of the eye, and then after I do that, I'm gonna go back in with my blending brush. Right now, I was just getting rid of some excess on my brush, but I'm gonna go in with the blending brush and just kind of blend that all out just to see if this TikTok hack worked. And you know what? I think it did. I really liked how the colors all blended out after. I really personally don't have any complaints about this palette so far. I went ahead and did her other eye off camera, and that's how that looks. I really liked how it was turning out. And so then finally, I'm going to go to her inner corner with When Doves Cry. Just a nice little cute little highlight there just to kind of make them pop. One of the biggest complaints that I saw in the reviews that I was watching was about too much fallout. I don't really think that was the case for me. I mean, a little bit. They were a little crumbly when I first dipped my brush into them, but that was just like the first brush stroke that I did, and after that it seemed okay. Really didn't have an issue with it. I also took that When Doves Cry for her brow, just to give that brow a little bit of a highlight as well. I did like how easy to blend the colors were. This is one of my first higher end palettes, and I would say that I'm pretty happy with it. Next, I made the horrible decision to do blue eyeliner. I wanted to add some blue in there because the palette has blue, and so this was the finished look. And I redid her eyeliner on her, well, you guys see it as the left, but on her left eye so many times, and I could not get it to look right. I don't know. It's just, she has different eyelids than I do, and for some reason that the eyeliner was just coming out thick. But anyway, I really liked how the look ended up looking, and I was really excited about it. So far, I would definitely give this palette a thumbs up. Alrighty guys, so now it's my turn. I will be using the You Got the Look eyeshadow palette. This is what it looks like right out of the box. I already have my eyebrows done with my e.l.f. Ultra Precise Brow Pencil, and I used the Fit Me concealer to prime my eyelids and also clean up my brows. I'll leave full details of the products I used in the description, so don't worry about it. For this palette, pretty much everyone that I watched used one of the gold colors there at the top, and either the charcoal or the black there in the corner to smoke it out afterwards. So I wanted to make sure that I did something different for you guys. I'm going to go ahead and try the same TikTok hack or technique or whatever you want to call it for my eyeshadow as well. So I'm starting with the transition shade and I'm going to be using Love to the Nines. I'm going to go ahead and blend that out with my brush. Another common complaint that this palette had was that most of the shades were shimmers and not a lot of mattes. I feel like the reason behind that though was because Prince was a very flashy and eccentric person, so it makes sense to me. Next, I'm going to be going in with this shade called Chaka Delica. It kind of, I don't know, on the packaging it looks like a orangish kind of brown. It kind of came on though as like a more of like a burgundy. So I really liked that shade. I liked how it applied. For this look, I'm going to be going for that same kind of ombre effect from like lighter to darker to the outside. The next shade that I'm going to be using, which you'll notice that I almost forgot to show you that I was changing shades. That one is called Groovy Potential. See, there I go. I remembered. And yeah, this is the one that I'm going to be using for the middle, and I really liked how it was applying as well. So the last shade that I'm going to be using for the base of my eyelid is a shade called The Artist, and the reason that I absolutely had to use this during this video is because I love the significance behind that name, The Artist. Hardcore Prince fans will know this. I didn't know this for a really long time until a friend told me about it, obviously because I wasn't around during that era, but there was a time when he went by The Artist because the record company owned the persona Prince, and so he was not going to stand by that. And so he fought very hard to get all his rights back, and I believed that he also retrieved the rights to his masters as well, which is literally unheard of in the industry. Nobody owns their masters. Always the label owns them. And he was just an amazing man, and that's one of the reasons that I looked up to him so much, and I still do. Not only was he such a talented person, but he was fearless and fought for what was right. But anyway, back to the makeup. Sorry, small history lesson included. So I'm just blending that out right now, and I think I re-dipped a little bit into my transition shade again just to kind of bring it all back together, and I was really digging how it was looking. And so now I'm going to go ahead and do the other eye off camera. Alrighty guys, now that we have both eyes up to speed, we are going to go in with the shade Crystal Ball for the inner corners and to highlight my eyebrow. I see that like most people only highlight the arch, but I kind of like to blend all the way through. Like I start with the arch and then I just kind of blend it out a little bit all the way through the brow. I just really like how that looks. After I finish that up, then I'm just gonna go in with some mascara and probably do just some light powder on my face. I didn't really want to do a full coverage look, honestly, because it was late at night. And I was just gonna wipe all this off and go to bed after making this video. So yeah, just doing something very simple and very light. Just some mascara, and I did do like concealer underneath my eyes after this, and I used the Fit Me foundation powder just to kind of finish everything off and kind of matte my look out so I didn't look all shiny. And this, my friends, was the finished look. This is after I went ahead and did all the concealer and the powder and stuff, and as you can tell, I really liked it. So my overall thoughts on the palette were that I really liked them. I really didn't have anything negative to say about them. Maybe it's because I'm also still very much in the beginning stages of my journey in the makeup world. I do very basic stuff still, but from what I can see, it is nice. And I really like how blendable it was. The fallout, I didn't really think was that bad, and I would recommend it, especially as a Prince fan. Wouldn't recommend it at the $55 price, but I definitely would recommend it at the half off, if it's still half off. It might be. If Urban Decay no longer has it at half off, I know that Macy's still does. So I would recommend getting it from there if you would like. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.